Good morning, Warriors. Vigor Warriors 2 here. This is July 13th, 2022. Hope you guys are on your plan, doing well, continuing to battle on. I appreciate all the subscriptions, comments, likes. Had a great comments yesterday from, I think it's Ferenc. Ferenc, if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, I apologize. But he made some great comments yesterday talking about different ideas when it comes to, sexual energy and transmutation. And we'll try to cover a couple of these today. And I'll probably do separate types of videos on it as we go along here. But thank you for your great comments. And he had a number of questions that we want to kind of focus on. But we'll kind of focus on that as we go along here. All right, so today we're going to go back a little bit of emphasis because I want to kind of focus on what are the benefits of retention again. And I get a lot of new subscribers coming in, so a lot of times I want to kind of go back and revisit this every so often and kind of focus on why we're doing this and how is this making us a better type person. And I think it's important to kind of think about this a little bit because really the bottom line goal is that you want to become the best person you can become. And it doesn't matter if you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 61 like I am, you want to be the best you can become. And that drive should not be stopped at any point. That should be something that goes on and on and on until your last day. And I think that God gives you that ability down deep to say, okay, I'm going to do the best that I can with what I have, and things will happen, and if you have faith, things will happen in a positive way. Just a little bit up here as I talk about this more. But there's a lot of great benefits of this journey, and the reason why we're on this journey is because of those benefits. And it kind of ties in a little bit to what Ferenc is saying as well, and so I want to kind of focus a lot on these type of things. So the first one I would kind of want to look at is the idea of focus. And so focus is really important because many people struggle. Their minds, their goals, everything is all over the place when it comes to actually knowing what they want. And the mind is very powerful when it comes to trying to draw opportunities to you, look and find opportunities, see opportunities, see what's ahead of you. All those type of things come from having a strong mind. But if you're distracted all the time, if you're looking at girls or you're simping, watching girls, and this is a new word that I learned, obviously, is simping. Watching people, pictures of people and all that kind of stuff, and you're wasting time, losing energy, and all that kind of stuff. You're not going to be as focused. And I think that's one of the key things is I've learned over the 760, I think it's 8 days now, NoFap, and then now I'm back in 6 days in monk mode. But I had about 250 days before I purposely myself kind of put myself in a new category because I felt like that it was too much of a temptation that I was thinking about, and so I moved off of that. And we'll get to that in a second. But the focus is key. And when you talk about, and Ferenc is talking about trying to transmute, and this is really important. I think you should transmute when it comes to meditation. I believe in that. Now, can you still transmute things? Well, of course. You're still going to rise energy through yourself as you are exercising, as you're doing other things. The key is anytime you have this type of energy, remember, you don't want to lose your energy. Now, what is losing your energy? I thought, as I talked about this, a couple different ways. We talked about obviously letting go of your actual energy physically. That's one thing you should not be doing. So edging, all that stuff should not be something on monk mode you should be on. I think that we've talked about this before. It's really a lifestyle change. You don't want to be tempting yourself every minute, and there's negative effects of that as well. So you want to make sure that you're able to stop the temptation and be able to kind of move past it to the point where you're not thinking about the short-term pleasure. This, my friends, is the key, warriors. This is the whole key to everything. You want to think about long-term pleasure instead of short-term pleasure. This is why retention is not an easy thing, because short-term, a lot of people want the short-term gratification, and we're living in this kind of society of short-term gratification. So it's easy for people to go ahead and say, okay, let's go ahead, and release energy. It's short-term, not realizing the effect it has on you and the habit it forms. So it's harder and harder to actually stop doing what you're doing, especially if you build this into your habit after 21 days, after 3 or 4 weeks. And so this is why we always say that you're either going to control the mind or the mind's going to control you. And I think a lot of times when it comes to these type of addictions, which porn and this type of stuff is another one of those addictions we talked about, it is important to realize that we have to gain some level of control of ourselves, discipline of ourselves. And it starts really with your mind and how you think about things. But you're able to actually get things organized enough in your mind to be able to say, I'm going to go ahead and stop these type of behaviors. I may have these thoughts, and once again, the birds might be flying over your head, but you're not going to let them nest in your head. And that's the saying that I always use when you're trying to really overcome these type of temptations. And so focus is a key thing. You're going to have greater focus. Now, another one of these benefits we talk about is resiliency. Being resilient. And means just if you release, you're able to get back on track. You're back on your journey again, right? And nothing's going to stop you. You become more resilient because you have more of that energy inside of you to be able to do that. And I think it's important to recognize that's important. Resiliency is a key aspect of being able to be strong. And the only reason you're going to be strong is because you're keeping your energy within inside yourself. And so resiliency is a key one. And that's why I think same thing talking about your health, and it's another benefit too. And you don't get sick very often because you're able to kind of do those types of things. And that leads to other behaviors that make you also get better and not be sick at all. And I was sick a lot, when I was younger, and I haven't been sick, a long time, Third benefit is good for your health, and obviously we just talked about that one a little bit. This energy, these nutrients that are inside of you, when you retain, you have all these type of nutrients within inside yourself, and we've kind of talked about that in different videos, what the nutrients are, and you can certainly go look that up. I mean, some people, they think this is all kind of a myth, and that's fine. They can believe that, but I can tell you by my experiences of 768 days that it's not a myth as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I experienced these type of things, and health-wise, I feel better than I've ever felt before. And like I said, I remember going back to when I was 10, 11, 12 years old, before I started even this other, kind of destructive behavior that I didn't know was destructive, because I thought, that short-term pleasure was what everybody was doing, as a kid, and led to a lot of negative type of situations for 47 years. So the thing is, what you really want to do is realize that this is the real you. This is what God has intended. Now, are we perfect? No. This is why we pray and meditate and ask God for forgiveness, our sins, because we're not perfect. But we got to continue to strive towards that perfection the best way we can, and continue to look at ourselves physically, mentally, and spiritually in the best way possible. So your health is very important, and when it comes to retaining, you're basically holding on to all your energy. You're resubmitting it, transmuting it to other parts of your body, and hopefully healing yourself a lot better as well. And like I said, on this plan, I have not been sick. And when I started doing the Fountain of Youth stuff, which we can talk about in another video, and I've been really bad about not doing that, and I have to kind of go back and do that when I get a chance. I actually want to go through the exercises to show you guys how that started for me back in 1998. And I didn't get to the sixth one until a couple years ago, but I finally realized how important all 6 of these are. So resiliency, health is important. Motivation, I think, once again, that's another one. As you look at things, you're going to be more motivated to do things. I remember all these times I was sick and tired, and I couldn't figure out why. And then I realized after all these years that it was really more of this losing my energy and not being strong and not, wanting to do things. And so my motivation to do things is so much greater. I feel like that I have a lot of energy. I get a good night's sleep. I only need about 5-6 hours, but I still get up and then I'm ready to go and do other things. And so I think that energy level, motivation to do things and to be better for yourself is better, because now you're within God's purpose. You may stray off a little bit, but you get back on that track and into the journey that God wants you to do. Confidence, once again, this goes back to the fact that you're being yourself. You can look people straight in the eye. You have that confidence level. And now as a result of that, you become a lot more attractive. You should not be doing this, my friends, because of the fact that you want to gain attraction. That is the reason you should not be doing it. However, you also want to realize that, that's going to be a benefit that's going to come from this. Now, do you use that in an abusive way? Of course not. You're not going to go ahead and be one of these players, right, that I talk about in my classes, that people want to be the players and they want to kind of fool around with girls and all that kind of stuff. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you're on your purpose, you're striving. If you do that, you'll have plenty of attraction, as we talked about here. And the bottom line is that you're going to be strong in everything you do. But you're not going to sit there and let things distract you to the point where you're not going to go ahead and accomplish your goals and what you're trying to do. And remember, right now, especially in the summertime, it's a distraction, because obviously people, with the sun and everything, they're out with very little clothes on. I always find it's interesting, a lot of my friends that are in different parts of the country that, they have to, wear clothes all the time and everything, and, cover their face. There's a reason for all that, right? And a lot of that is because of the temptation that people have, as you can see with our, some societies around us, especially in the United States, where people, obviously wear any kind of clothes they want to wear, unless they have a certain religious belief. And the thing is that, there is always temptation. Now, and once again, you factor it into, a lot of people like it to be getting attention, and so they're going to draw themselves into that. So it's a very, very dynamic, dangerous situation that we in our journey have to be careful of. Feel complete. I think that's one that I noticed, that you feel a lot more yourself. When you're on this journey, it's almost like you're not really missing anything. You don't need money. You don't need sexual attention. You don't need all these type of things, right? If you get them, that's great. It's a compliment. You need money out to live, especially in our world that we're in right now. But you have to kind of realize that you are complete. You are a person that's moving towards God more. As I'm along this journey, and as I said, with monk mode, I've had a setback. But the thing is that you're still on your journey, and you're still moving in that direction. And no one's perfect, and I haven't been for many years until recently when it comes to NoFap. So I think it's important to recognize that's important. But here again, you have to just keep battling it and battling it. And eventually, you will overcome it. And that's what God wants you to do. Life is more beautiful. Yes, of course it is. I'm moving my thing here because I got bumps here. But life is is beautiful. The thing is that as you're going around and you're focusing on things, life is gorgeous. It's beautiful. And the thing is that the trees become more beautiful, things become more beautiful, people become more beautiful, and you just like being outside more. And I think this is really, I didn't feel like this before. And so when you realize that, you realize how important life is and importance when it comes to this type of stuff. So that's always a positive thing. And then the last one that I kind of wanted to focus on is that you align your values with a purpose. And I think this is an important one when it comes to, retention and the journey you're on. So I think going back to God's purpose, you're aligning yourself with a purpose. And I can't say how much more important that is to strive for a purpose and to have a purpose. Why do you think we're here? Why do you think you're here? It's not just to go ahead and, chase women around and have pleasures and things like that. God will give you those type of pleasures, I believe. But I think you have to really kind of think to yourself, well, how can I have this relationship with the Lord, and how can I go ahead and get respect and get those type of things that are important to me, by achieving those type of things. And so sometimes I think you may want to achieve things, but they may not be the right thing for you. And that's why I think God steps in and basically says, okay, this is not right for you. I will kind of provide something to you that is right for you. So this is an important type of thing, and I think that the more you're able to retain and the more connection you have with God, then I think the more you're able to see that. And if you're in all these other lascivious behaviors and you're out of control and you can't stop yourself from doing things, well, you're not going to be able to listen to God. God can talk to you better if you're on this streak more and you're trying to stop this. As I said with the monk mode, I mean, we all, do I wish that I didn't make that mistake that I made? Of course, Do I wish that I didn't have these type of thoughts a few days ago? Yes. But the thing is you can't just kick yourself in the head either and beat yourself over this. You just have to continue saying, okay, let's move on and move on to a new streak and kind of move ahead. And I think this is the whole key to it, because if you know your values are in place, your ideas, then even though you may get tricked by the evil one at times, which the evil one tricks all of us at times, because a lot of times we don't realize the evil one's really there, and we are kind of falling for things that we shouldn't be falling for. But the idea is that you want to make sure you align yourself with the values and ideas you have, and I think retention helps that a lot. So I think I tried to kind of incorporate some of Ferenc's comments on this thing. He's asking about sexual energy through meditation. We talked a little bit about that. I'm going to talk more about tantra because I don't know too much about that word. And having sex without ejaculation, the question's going to be there. Once again, going back to the idea, if you're with one person, your wife, someone you're going to marry, someone you're going to be with a long time, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I mean, the Bible talks about people who are in lust. They should find a partner. This way they're not sinning, against God. They're in marriage, something that God, has created, for you. But you're going to have times when you're sitting there and looking at all these positive type of things when it comes to focusing on having relations. And once again, the short-term pleasure is one thing, the long-term pleasure is another thing. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But I believe that, when you're talking about having, and I got a little bumping here, but when you're talking about having, sex without ejaculation, yes, you can do that. I think certainly there's ways to do that. And I think certainly, you can still have the enjoyment being with the person. But the idea that you're looking for here is basically trying to stay in monk mode, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. So it's a good question that Ferenc asked, and he asked like several good questions here, and we'll kind of focus on those the next video. But I think the idea is that you want to kind of make sure that you're not getting birds in your head. What I mean by that is your thoughts and everything should not be dictating you. If you can have your relationship with the person that you're with, that's going to have a long-term relationship with, well, that's one thing. What you want to avoid is all this kind of stuff when people talk about body counts and everything, that they're okay with all this stuff. And to me, that's just a very wrong way to look at life. And you're not going to have any long-term relationships if all you're doing is sleeping with people every day. You're not going to have long-term relationships if all you're doing is really kind of releasing your energy. You're going to be dead tired and not worth too much, and not being able to succeed and do too much things with the things you have. So there's a lot of positive when it comes to this. But a shout out to Ferenc. And like I said, if I say that name wrong, I apologize. But Ferenc, we're gonna kind of concentrate more on your questions in the next video. Try to do it tomorrow and focus more on this idea of having intercourse without actually ejaculating and doing this. But once again, you go back to the whole idea and purpose that what you really want to do is make sure that you're focusing on your goals and ideas, and stay away from the temptation of all these things that can kind of distract you from that, and holding on your energy, because that's the key thing. Don't lose your energy unless you really feel like it's a very important thing to do. All right, my friends, that's enough for today. God bless you guys. Ferenc, once again, a shout out to you. Thank you for comments. As with everybody, if you're still having trouble, commenting, let me know. But I appreciate the comments. And you guys have a great day. July 13th, 2022. God bless each and one of you. And battle on, my friends. Battle on.